Here we go. Live. William Draper, how you doing, man? First man on my How you doing? Okay, guys, this is Bruce and this is ConvoCourses podcast, and today is open topics once again. Thank you for joining me. If you guys have never seen this before, my name what I do is I try to introduce you to a topic called GRC. What is GRC? Governance, risk, and compliance. It's a critical, extremely, arguably, probably the most important part of cybersecurity, one of the most important parts of an organization these days, because organizations, if you haven't been paying attention, have been getting hacked left and right. Case in point, there was a recent hack that was discovered. Well, it was announced to the world last week. Um, and it actually lost billions of records, so many records for people all over the United States. And why? Because they didn't have proper governance, risk, and compliance. It's just really, really important these days to have good governance, risk, and compliance. What is it? I can explain to you very briefly. It's how the organization governs their information technology. That means manages, right? Fancy word for manages. How do they manage and have an inventory and control all of the important things that are in their organization? That includes not only computers and information, but the people's information, their personally identifiable information. And then it also has risk management. What is risk management? So that's the R, GRC. The R stands for risk management. Risk management means, how do we maintain a certain level of security in our organization? We have a certain level, but how do we manage and control that level of security that we have? We do it by exploring the likelihood of our system being exploited. And very simply, it means we operate, um, we're operating our business and our mission, right? There's certain threats against our business and our mission. And those threats aren't just hackers, by the way. It can be mishaps, it can be disasters, it can be civil unrest, it can be multiple different things. Threats can come in all kinds of shapes and forms. So what we want to do is make sure that if in the event of a disaster, in the event of a mishap or a hack or whatever, we're prepared. And that's how we help. That's just one tool that helps us manage the level of risk that we're going to take. So even if an earthquake, God forbid, happens, a natural disaster near us, we already have an alternate site. We have a plan for that. So we're hedging our bets. We're managing our risk level. So even if it does go down, this other site comes up, or we have a plan to very quickly bring up another site or system. So that's the governance, management, controlling the information technology. The risk management, making sure that we're looking at the threats and saying, okay, where's our weaknesses? What can we do if we do go down? And then compliance, that's the C. Compliance means, if we're in a specific industry, like let's say healthcare, we're in the healthcare industry. Not only do we need to protect our computers, we need a firewall, we need to have signatures on our malware, we need to have trained people, all that kind of stuff. But if we're in healthcare, we also need to pay special attention to healthcare records of our customers. We have to abide by something called HIPAA, which is helping us protect not only healthcare information, but insurance information. So every industry has something like a HIPAA. Like if you're in the federal government, they have something called FISMA, which is the Federal Information Security Modernization Act. You have financial sector has several, but one of the big ones is Sarbanes-Oxley. And that one came about because giant corporations like WorldCom and Bernie Madoff and all these other people kept ripping off billions and billions of dollars worth of money. And some of that was being done with, all of it was being done with IT, with transactions. So they focus a lot on auditing and making sure that we are doing everything we're supposed to do to protect people's investments. So every industry has something that they have to comply with. That means they have rules and regulations that they have to comply with. And thank goodness, because we live in a society that tries to put all of these different laws in place and then enforces those laws. If we didn't have them, it'd just be chaos. A lot of times I've traveled many different countries in the world, and to see it real time where they don't have the same kind of regulations in certain areas. No, don't get me wrong. Like the U.S. has certain areas that we're super weak on. I give you one off the top of my head is probably FDA. Like U.S. I don't. If you've never traveled, you won't notice, but the U.S. is real loose with how they do our food. Right? It's safe to eat, but in the long run, they put all these chemicals and stuff in it. You don't see that a lot in other countries. So we're kind of loose and, fancy footloose with that kind of stuff. Like they'll put all kinds of chemicals in the milk and in the, if you read the ingredients on the back of some of these processed foods, it's not healthy. And you go to another country, they have like 3 ingredients. You're like, it tastes different. It tastes better. You don't get as overweight as fast. There's something really wrong with our FDA regulations. There's something really, really wrong with it. And so what I'm saying, why I'm bringing this up is that if you go to another country, I'll just notice their laws for certain things, cybersecurity wise, are not on the same par as what we have here in the U.S. The U.S.'s cybersecurity laws are pretty tight, with the exception of the privacy laws. I think that they're pretty weak here. But all right, let me get into the questions. It's all about you guys. It's all about questions every Saturday at 1 p.m. Mountain Standard Time, maybe a little earlier. And I usually go for 1.5, 2 hours. And I'll answer your questions live. Let me see here. Let me look at the TikTok feed here. We were talking before we started this. Excuse me. Let me see. Somebody said, what is GRC? I think I answered that one. More people here joining. That's great. Should get some more people joining here because I'm supposed to normally start at like 1 o'clock ish. So we're starting pretty early. All right. So since I don't have questions, I'm going to go ahead and answer some YouTube comments that I haven't gotten around to. Here we go. I'm in the back end of my YouTube channel, and I get a ton of questions here. And I have not been, as of late, answering these, but I'm going to answer 1 or 2 of these. Let me see. Patrick Chan says, cybersecurity is confusing. I had an interview thinking it would be one thing, and then realized it was quite something. It wasn't what I had in mind. The job description was a bit vague. Okay. So this happens from time to time. And what I tell people with this kind of thing is to read the description, the job description. Not just read the description, but practice for the job description. Like take the description and digest it. Like read through it and practice with their job description. Now that said, like Patrick says here, sometimes even they're mixing it up. This happened to me before. As a matter of fact, the last time I was getting into this, I was trying to look for jobs or whatever a few years ago. Now, I got into an interview, and I was interviewing for an information system security officer job, but they kept asking me all these cloud questions, like I was supposed to be a cloud engineer or something. And I'm like, what is happening? Why is he asking me all these cloud? But I just stuck to the script. I just stuck to what was in the description because I had already practiced. I stuck with that. Now, when he asked me these oddball questions, I'll give you an example. He was like, have you ever set up a cloud system? And I said, actually, no, I haven't. I'm not a cloud engineer. And I was very frank with him. I said, actually, my exposure to the technical side of it, like as far as setting up or integrating some kind of cloud solution is, I've never done it before. My exposure to cloud is just as an information system security officer doing GRC type work. So what I would do is FedRAMP. I'm familiar with FedRAMP and how to get a system from point A to point B as far as an ATO is concerned with the cloud. But I'm not a cloud engineer or anything. I was just very frank with him. And then he kept asking me a bunch of technical cloud questions. And then I realized in the interview, I was like, this isn't the guy I'm going to be working with, because he didn't know he didn't. He was. It was almost like he was reading another person's job description in the interview. I just kept it professional, and I just kept answering the questions, and I stayed on the script. The script is the description, so stick with the script. And let me tell Patrick Chan now, while I'm typing, you guys come up with more questions for me. Like I'm tracking everybody's questions here, so just answer those questions. Let me ask those questions. I'm gonna go ahead and answer Patrick's question here. I'm telling them to stick to the script. The script is the job description and your resume. I know what you mean because that has happened to me. They start asking me stuff that is not on the job description. On the description, I just tell them honestly, I don't know about that. Tell them honestly and professionally that I don't know, but I would be interested in getting more experience in that area. Okay, let me see. Larry, how you doing, man? All right, I'm getting some more questions here. I did start a bit early, but it's all right. I've got some questions here. Somebody said, did social security numbers really get leaked? Oh, he's talking about that huge leak that happened with the, what's it called? National Data. Let me see if I can look that up. National Data Center. Yeah. So there was a private organization called the National Data. Was it Data Center? No, it's National Data Breach. Let me just validate the name of this company. National Public Data. Okay, yes, this happened. So there was a huge leak from this. First, I thought the organization was a federal organization, like publicly, public like a federal or a state organization. It is not. So National Public Data is an organization that collects records for other companies. It's like they do B2B information. They collect a bunch of information from they scrape the internet, which is where they have like some kind of an application that goes on the internet looking for your social media information, old addresses, old phone numbers. All that stuff is publicly available, especially if you live in the US. I can't speak for UK or Australia or any other country, Indonesia. I can't speak for them, but I can tell you in the US, we are so bad at information. If you don't believe me, go to a site called actually just Google your name and the city. Just go to Google and type in your actual name, your government given name, your government name and the city, and you'll see what I mean. If you've ever owned a business, your personal information's out there. They don't protect it. If you've ever owned they have very loose protection on it. If you have property, your information's out there. If you've ever been to court for anything, more than likely your information's out there. If it's your information's just put on the internet by these local administrators. And so what National Public Data does is they have this script that goes and crawls the internet and then pulls all that information from your Facebook page to your phone number, from the phone company to your publicly available information that's out there, scrapes it all, pulls it all into a database, and then they sell that information to other organizations. Well, they got hacked. Their database of all this information, they're already doing illegal stuff. That's illegal to do what they're doing, because it's not just all publicly available information. Some of it was not publicly available, and they were scraping it anyway. And so they had a massive data breach. Somebody pulled all their data. Now all of our information is a billion records. So there's a very high chance that my information, your information is right now out there on the dark web being sold for $3.9 million, whatever, $2.9 million that they're selling it for on the dark web. And there's nothing anybody can do about it because it's on the dark web. It's encrypted. It's already publicly available out there. So they're just leaking it out to everybody. It includes, I believe it includes social security numbers, phone numbers, first, last names, your past addresses, any association you have with any of your relatives. It just has all this information out there that's usually used for investigations. So, yeah, until we change how we do business here, like social security numbers shouldn't be a thing anymore. Really shouldn't. They could have easily fixed that with PKI. With they could use, instead of social security numbers, they could do like a PKI where you have a public and a private number. You have a public number. You have a public number where it's the cleaner. I don't know. Sorry for the this is live. You have a public number. You have, instead of social security numbers, they can have PKI. You have a publicly available number that anybody can have, and they can't hack it. It's linked to a private number. You have the private number. You don't share that one. You only share the public number. They could do something like that, and I don't know why they don't. We have blockchain technology. They could give us like a unique identifier on blockchain that also uses some sort of PKI, a public number and a private number, and they could protect it that way. Social security numbers really don't make any sense, and until they fix that here in the US, I don't know what we're gonna do, man, because this stuff just keeps getting leaked over and over again. All right, got some more questions here. This is all about you guys today. Any questions you have, so let me know. Larry says, it's the price of the way. It's the price we pay for in this country. We exchange our privacy and security for convenience a lot of times. A lot of bad practices for sure, Larry. And I agree with you, but I feel like if they deployed technology correctly in a secure way and not the way we did this so many years ago, we really need to upgrade our system, and they could do it. I mean, nothing's going to be 100%. You're right. I mean, for convenience, nothing's going to be 100% protected. But there's ways that we can make it at least harder for them to hack things rather than just having a number that's out there. It just doesn't make that a person could take your SSN and your first name, last name, and get credit cards and just do all kinds of stuff. All they need is like 3 points of data, and they can have your name, your social security number, your date of birth, and they can do identity theft in several different ways. So it's just too bad. It's just too bad. I wish we were smarter about the use of technology, and it's, you would think after all of these different gigantic hacks like this, we would change our ways as a society, not just even the US, but everyone, and fix this. But we just haven't made a move on it yet. So thanks for that, Larry. I appreciate you. Let me see. Kirko says, Bruce, I took your advice and I have a data engineering internship coming up this semester. Awesome. That's great. That's awesome. Yeah. So my advice that Kirko is talking about is, I tell every student, any student out there, if you are in school, don't wait till you get that piece of paper in your hand. Start right now. It's a start where you are situation. Start right now. If you are in school right now for an associate's, a bachelor's, a master's, or maybe you're just getting a certification, don't wait till you get the piece of paper. What organizations really want to see is your experience. That's what they want to see. They want to see that you have done the work. So Kirko actually got into an internship in his school. So when he gets that piece of paper, Hell, even maybe even before he gets the piece of paper, he might get a job where he got the job based off of his internship. Like he's able to say, hey, I did X, Y, and Z during this internship. I worked for this company at this time. I wrote this policy. I participated in, I created a Tableau report. I was a part of the incident response team. I was whatever it happens to be. He's going to actually be able to put that experience on his resume, and it's going to shine above anybody else who already has a degree or whatever the case may be. So that's what I'm telling you. Wherever you happen to be, if you're trying to get in this field, start where you are. Don't wait to get a piece of paper. Don't wait till you or whatever. Just don't wait. Just do it now. All right. While you guys are getting more questions, let me see. We got a possible emergency. I'm not sure what this is all about, but let's see. I told her to send me a message. She didn't text me back yet, so don't know what's going on with that. Maybe she'll contact what's her face here. Let me open it for you. So this is live, guys. I apologize. Got some other business stuff going on here. You could just ask. She didn't text me back. All right, let me see. I got some questions here. Thank you for your patience. User 463 says, all right, I'm not doing any co-hosts right now, guys, on TikTok, because I'm on several different platforms, so they won't be able to hear you. Such as home address, using my phone number and full name. Okay, that's part of a message, I think. Let me just keep reading here. All right, no questions there. Let's keep going. Let me keep going. John P, man, welcome. Thanks for subscribing. I appreciate you. Larry says, I agree. I just think companies and sometimes governments put cost convenience over doing it right. And that's the educated base that knows better, right? The common user is even worse off most times with PII. Yeah, that's definitely true. And I think that one of the biggest things I see that's glaring, that almost, I mean, it makes me upset because, especially as somebody who owns stake in this system, as far as property or business or whatever, and is an employee, it sucks to see your information just being put out there like that. Because I'm putting real risk into this, right? I'm hiring people, I'm paying people, I'm putting real skin in the game here. I got something to lose. So if I buy a house or something like that, and or I start a business or something, and they just publicly make my stuff available with no protections whatsoever, it just makes it harder for me as a business person to do what I need to do. If people are coming after, if people are doing, I don't know, identity theft on me or something like that, it just makes me mad, like, to see, especially like the local government. The local government is one of the biggest offenders in the U.S. It's one of the things, like I've noticed as a cybersecurity person, like that the local government is a soft target. I don't know if they just don't know what they're doing or if they just don't care or what, but they just publicly put our information out there, and it really pisses me off. It really pisses me off when they do stuff like that. And there's no checks and balances. They just put it out there. It's just like, what are they doing? What are y'all doing? Nathan says, question. Are there any GRC vendors, for example, Archer, talking about AI, machine learning, data science applied to GRC processes, plus audit, plus evaluation, etc.? Thank you. Nate, I haven't noticed the big guys announcing anything yet, and I could just be out of the loop. I have noticed a bunch of small startups integrating GRC and AI and machine learning, but I haven't seen like the big guys like ArcSight. Archer. I imagine Archer, I'm looking it up right now, has something in the pipeline, but I haven't seen anything I mean, I can look real quick. Let me see. I'm looking at Archer. And for those of you who don't know, Archer and like EMAS and Exacta and some of these are like it's a content management system that helps to manage risk. They do like huge risk management. It's a solution that governments use and large companies use to manage governance, risk, and compliance. So they'll take in your vulnerability scans. They'll track your security solutions across your entire environment. So here's an example of one of those products right here, Archer GRC solution. And it looks like this. Like it looks like, for those of you who are listening or can't see my screen, it's got a chart that has a risk, a color-coded risk breakdown with numbers and everything. So it's a quantitative and a qualitative risk scoring system that's built in based off of all the information that it takes in. So it can take in your vulnerabilities. It can take in how many controls that you're hitting, and it can take in your risk assessment information from your scans and everything, and then it can help you to figure out what your risk level is. And so Nathan's question was, is there any one of these guys that are looking at AI? So I haven't seen it, and like even on their site here, I don't see anything that they're announcing. I imagine on the back end they're already working on this, because it'd just be really smart to use it inside of their software to help to, I don't know, like dial in your risk numbers easier or something like that. But no, I haven't seen any that have been used just yet, but that doesn't mean that they're not working on it in the back of a lab somewhere. If you guys know of any, if you guys have worked with some, then I'll read it. Just send a message here. Now, if you guys know one, just put it in the messages. Okay, I've got a bunch of questions popping up here. Yeah. Did I fix the what? For LinkedIn? No. I'll fix that. Got some issues over here with LinkedIn. Let me see here. Another question from Ebony63 says, should we still continue to shred our old mail? Our personal information is stolen so much. Yes, that's what I do, Ebony. I tear up all the mail that has any kind of information that I have on it. But what's scary is that's only doing a tiny. Most hackers are not like dumpster diving. What they're doing is they're going after. If you have a credit card, they're trying to hack the credit card companies. If you have an account on Nintendo or on PlayStation, or if you have an account with Target or Walmart or whatever, they're hacking those guys, and your information is a part of that. And then they're hacking the big guys, pulling down that, and then that's how your information is ending up on the dark web. So I'm not telling you don't tear up junk mail that's coming in, or old receipts that have your information, or old bills or whatever. Yeah, I do that. But most hackers are not dumpster diving. Dumpster diving means goes in your trash and looks for information on, your accounts or something like that. That's not saying that it can't happen. So definitely tear your stuff up. But most of the hacks these days, our biggest risk is when the big guys, big companies that we give our information to, get breached, meaning they get hacked, and then your information happens to be there. Your credit card information, your first name, last name, your date of birth. They got hacked. All your information was with them because you needed it to make an account. Now they pull down your information. Now there are things that you can do to protect yourself. Let me go down. This is a great question that you asked. So let me show you one to see if you have already been hacked, and then I'll show you some things that you can do. There's a site called, and I'm not going to type my stuff in here live. There's a site called HaveIBeenPwned.com. Have I been PWNED.com. And this site right here, if you type in your email, yeah, don't do this on a live or anything, because it's gonna shock you. Type in your main emails in HaveIBeenPwned.com, and it's gonna tell you anytime your email was a part of a giant hack. And once you see this list of all the things that this email that you use for your Netflix account and your, to play games or whatever has been hacked, you want to go and change all the passwords. And there's a few things that you can do. Okay, so one is, if you find your name on this list, one of these lists, definitely change the password and do multi-factor authentication as much as you can. Multi-factor authentication is not just use a username and password, but also make it so that it sends you, I know it's a pain in the ass, but make it so that it sends you a code to your phone. Make it so that you have to use your fingerprint or your facial identification or facial recognition to open up that account. That's multi-factor, more than one way to get into the account. And that makes it much harder, not impossible, but it makes it much harder for hackers to infiltrate your information. So do that you want to really do that on your bank, on any important information, your bank, any financial things that you have going on, your tax. You have a tax site you go to, TurboTax or whatever. You want to do it, definitely doing on sites like that. Anything important that you have, make sure you have multi-factor authentication. And if the bank doesn't offer that, then don't do online banking with them. And actually, you might even want to switch banks if they don't allow you to do that. Another thing that you can do is monitor your accounts. Monitor your accounts like a hawk. Like, always be looking at your bank account. Always. If you have multiple bank accounts, if you have multiple credit cards, always be watching them like a hawk. Sometimes they even have monitoring services that you can have that automatically watch those things for you. Sign up for at least one of those that is constantly monitoring your social security number, your account information, you can even have it monitor your name. So your full government name. So those are some of the things you can do. Don't use the same password on multiple accounts, especially not on your banking information. Any important accounts, make sure it has different passwords. Even if you're using multi-factor authentication, use different passwords. Don't use the same password one on everything. Don't use simple ass passwords anywhere. But also don't use the same password twice anywhere. Because if one gets hacked, the idea is that they can use that same one. If they can find a way into one of your accounts, they'll use the same username and password for all of your accounts. Do not do that for social media, because it's easy. I know it's convenient or whatever to just use the same password on Facebook, on Twitter, on TikTok, and on everything. Don't do that, because that means if somebody can access let's say somebody hacked your Facebook account, then they're going to take whatever email, whatever username and password they use there. They're going to go to your TikTok, and then they're going to put that same information in TikTok. And then they go like, what about Google? They'll go to Google and Gmail, and they'll do the same thing there. Then they'll go to, what about, this person have a PlayStation account? They're going to use the same thing there. They're just going to go to each one of those accounts. So don't use the same password twice. So that's just a few things that you can do. A big one is use multi-factor authentication. Check and see if you have been pawned. Pawned is like owned, like you've been owned, like somebody hacked your account, they got in, they can do whatever they want with you. So check and see if you've been pawned. Use multi-factor authentication. Don't use the same password twice. And then if you're really paranoid, I mean, it's not even paranoid at this point. I mean, especially right now with all these records being leaked, or that giant breach that just happened, you can even freeze your accounts. Like, if you're not getting any credit anytime soon, you're not buying a house, you're not buying a car, you're not going to be using your credit, You can go to, I think, Experian or TransUnion or one of these giant credit card companies and freeze your credit so it doesn't move unless you open it up. So that's another thing that you can do. So I hope that helps. I know that it's really inconvenient that this just keeps happening over and over again. The U.S. is a huge target because there's so much wealth here. There's so much going on here that we've just become a huge target. Oh, Cyber says it says there on their page compliance AI. Oh, okay. I missed that. I missed that. Compliance AI. Let me see what you're talking about. I missed that. Let me see here. Oh, there it is. It's right on top. Oh my lord. I'm freaking blind. Oh, they acquired compliance.ai. Insightful, transparent, and trusted. I don't know what that looks like. They're doing something with it. They acquired compliance.ai. Compliance.ai. Oh, the site. Okay. Archer compliance.ai is a. Wait, let me show you guys this. Thanks for that, Cyber Romeo. I appreciate that. Let me show you guys what I'm seeing here. So the question earlier, somebody on TikTok, I believe, asked was somebody. Let me see who asked me that question. Oh, Nathan. Nathan asked, is Archer or is one of the other large GRC type tools using AI? And I went to Archer's main website to check it out, and then somebody caught, oh yeah, it looks like they are doing it, possibly. Let's see. So Archer Compliance AI is the only regulatory change management solution that mitigates the risk of non-compliance by automatically monitoring the regulatory environment for updates, organizing and interpreting regulatory content, ensuring change tasks are done in real time. Where's the AI come in? Okay. Our solution applies a purpose-built machine learning model to automatically monitor regulatory environments and relevant changes and map them to your internal policy, procedures, controls. That's pretty cool. So what they're saying here is it's going to take your environment. Like you'll say, okay, we use PCI DSS and here's our policy. Here's our procedures. We have changes we have to do. It's going to take the changes that are coming in and map that to what you're doing, what you're saying that you're doing in your policy. So that's pretty cool. This is something that they just started doing. So Nathan, the answer is yes. And it says, find out more at archer.com/compliance AI. They're starting to do it already. They're starting to integrate it. They move fast on that one. All right, let me see. On the other questions here, Isaac Charles says, any advice? I have a CCNA, a Security Plus, and a Network Plus, and a CISA. Still no job. Have you had a job before in this space? I think you asked something like this last week, and I don't remember what your answer was. So my question to you, Isaac, sorry, oh my Lord, Isaac Charles, is what is your experience level? And I can give you some advice there. Isaac, ISSA? ISSA? Why am I calling you Isaac? Somebody said, have you given state and federal a try? I use authentication. I use the authentication app. Yeah, so do I. I use a combination of authentication app, and I also use for multi-factor authentication. I use an authentication app for a lot of my stuff. Like if I'm using PayPal or something that has an authentication app. If I'm using any kind of financial stuff, it's either an authentication app that, from what I've read, it's safer than actual having an email authentication sent to you. Let me see. Oh, this is a good point. Doc Darko says your secret question and answer should never be the same across different accounts. Damn, I ain't not even thought about that. But yeah, that's another one. You know how it has like questions like, what is your mother's maiden name? What is your favorite color? He's saying that even that should be different, because if they hack that, if they have access to that information, they can just go and they can use that same information across the board. So yeah, I didn't even think of that. Let me see. Let me see here. More questions. Looking for more questions. Connor Ben says, best project. What is the best project for a new grad getting into the technical side of cybersecurity? Best projects. I'll ask my whole group here. You guys, all you IT professionals out there. I've got Connor Ben asking, what is the best project for a new grad getting into the technical side of cybersecurity? What do you guys think? So Hyperion says, Ben, cloud and container security. Good choice. What else you guys got? Anybody else? Yeah, cloud will be a really good project to get into. Like create a container on a cloud. AWS, let's say you went to AWS, Amazon's cloud service, and then you created a container and then put a server on there and then started putting security on that cloud container. So that's one thing you can do. Another project you can do that's more common is for people to put it on to create their own local network, do a virtual environment and then start hacking your own systems. Like you can make a virtual environment. It's my favorite thing to do. On your computer, get a high-speed computer with lots of RAM. You put VMware on it. You download a couple of operating systems for like most common ones, Windows 11 or Windows 10, and then OS X or whatever. Put those on there on that virtual environment, and then get a something like Kali Linux, and then use Kali Linux to attack those. Put them on the same virtual network. This is all on your computer, and then start attacking. So it's going to teach you several things. Number one, how to use VMware in a virtual environment, how to set up a virtual network on your own computer, and then how to install operating systems, and then how to secure them, because you want to attack them and then secure them, find a way, and then allows you to also use things like packet sniffers on that same network. That's something that you can do. But I agree with Hyperion about the cloud containers. That's actually a really good one. Okay, ISSA says, I have a year of experience as a risk and compliance analyst. Any advice? And you said that you have a CCNA. Normally when I've gotten this same question many times on here. I've been doing this for a few years. And every time I get this same question with the same situation, they have experience, they have a couple certs under their belt, good certs. It's usually the resume. And it's usually the resume. So what I would advise you to do, couple things. Take a look at my resume. Go to ConvoCourses.com, look for my free resume, download it. Look at how I wrote it. That's an ATS style resume. A lot of times people in their exact same situation as you, or it's very similar, their resume is not, they send me their resume is not good. It's just not good. It's not marketed towards what they're trying to do. Whatever you're trying to do, you need to have certain keywords and key phrases in your resume so that those employers who are looking for a pen tester, looking for a GRC professional, looking for an information system security officer, they'll find you. It's usually the resume. And if it's not the resume, it's marketing. And let me explain what I mean. So after you build your resume out, right? And there's multiple ways that you can cheat and make your resume top notch. One of them is to look at my resume. If you don't want to do that, go to LinkedIn and go and look at other people's resume. Because other people's resume is out there, that you can just look at the keywords that they have on there. That's another thing you can do. And then look at your resume and then start to do a cross comparison. Look at the keywords. Pay special attention to the keywords that they're using on their resume versus yours. Your situation is not uncommon. A lot of military vets have the same thing. They literally have experience. They have a security clearance. They have a certification. They have everything, but their resume is not dialed into the proper keywords. They're using a bunch of military jargon. They're not, so I'm telling you to do the same thing I tell them to do, is like, look at your market. Look at when I say market, I mean, if you're trying to be a pen tester, your market is organizations that need a pen tester. If you're trying to be a GRC professional, you got to narrow it down because GRC is huge. What industry? Are you in the healthcare industry? Are you in financial sector? Are you in government? Narrow it down. Because if it's in the government, you're looking for an information system security officer position. And they're looking for somebody who knows NIST 837. They're looking specifically for somebody who knows how to do policies, plan of action and milestones, system security plans, knows something called EMAS or Archer, or Exacta or something like that. Right? These are all keywords that mean a lot to that market. I know a lot about it because that's what I've been doing for the last few years. Another one would be, healthcare industry. They might want you to have a specialization in medical devices and how to secure those medical devices, definitely HIPAA. So they want you to be well versed in that kinds of stuff. So you've got to dial in your resume to that specific market, whatever it happens to be. Once you have that ATS style resume that's dialed in with the proper keywords, and this goes for anybody who's in the same situation, has experience, has a certification, has everything, there's no reason why they shouldn't have a job. The next thing you want to do once you have the ATS style resume is put it everywhere. I'm talking about not just LinkedIn, not just Monster, not just Dice, not just Career Builder. Find the top 10 or even top 20 if you're serious. Top 20. This is what I'm just telling you what I did, and it works. I say works because I still do it. Put it on the top 20 job aggregators. Be warned, you will get opportunities, and I'm not even messing with you. If you do everything I'm telling you to do, you will get people constantly contacting you. Constantly. It will get annoying. Be careful what number you put on because people will call you. Be careful what email you use because you'll get a ton of emails. Then it's going to be a matter of looking actively and aggressively looking for positions. Don't take the first job you see. More than likely, it's not going to be worth your time. You want to be picky. You're going to want to validate each person and each organization you contact. You're going to vet each one of them. You're going to interview them as much or more than they're interviewing you. Aggressively go on LinkedIn, on Dice, on Monster, and do something called, there's a little button. If you filled out your whole profile in each one of these and uploaded your resume on all of these, like I'm telling you to do, if you do what I'm telling you to do, it will work. I'm telling you it will work. If you put you filled out your whole profile on all these 20 different sites, you want to hit something called they call it a easy apply button. I think on Monster it's called quick apply or something like that. They changed the name up. But if you have everything filled out, you can just hit a button on some of these organizations and your whole profile just goes to them. You want to do that as many times, like you go and, of course, read the description, see if it fits you or whatever, and then start going through and applying for as many of those jobs as possible. That's what you do. And you will find opportunities. Not every opportunity is going to be for you. And some of them are going to require some blood, sweat, and tears. There's going to be something in there you don't like. There's going to be that you have to move to another state. There's some that are in other countries. There's some that don't quite have the pay you want. There's going to be something that you gotta, there's no perfect job out there. But if you're really serious about getting a position, think about, look, take what you can for now so you can get your foot in the door so you can level up. So that's what I would tell you to do. I mean, I'm a broken record here. I tell people the same thing. And the people who follow what I just said to the T, they have a job right now. They contact me back and say, Bruce, it worked. I'm like, yeah, I know. I've been doing this for a long time. It really works. I mean, it works so well that I'm very picky about jobs. I'm getting constantly people contacting me. I'm like, nah, click. Like, it works. All right. Frank says, how much more stress workload is required when moving upward in GRC analyst versus senior analyst? It depends on the organization. The organization I'm working with now it's the job I'm doing is pretty it's a lot of work. It's a huge workload. There's no work-life balance. It's crazy. But I've been in other organizations where it wasn't like this. It depends on the organization. I'll give you a specific example. Like right now, I'm working for a government agency. I'm an information security officer on a gigantic system. And these MFs will not hire another person for me. The workload is insane. It's crazy. And I've been telling them for a long time to get me some help. And I don't know what's going on, but they just won't do it. And so these other organizations I work for, if I said, hey, man, I need help here, they were like, yep, no problem. Boom. They'll send me somebody because their interest was in their company. Like, we got to retain good people. We want to do what's right by our people and by our client and all that kind of stuff. It depends on the organization. Some of them are better at getting you at managing the stress and workload. Management is also a big factor. If you have management that's not listening to you, or they have pressure from them, so they can't really hire more people or whatever, they can't really allocate more resources to you, it's going to be stressful, And I've had one of the position I worked where all I did was I was writing policies for them. So I didn't really need a large amount of help. I could just do it on my own. And it was no problem. I did the work, cranked it out. They paid me. It was great. It depends on the actual organization. As far as upward GRC, I would say one of the things that's kind of held me from accepting a management role is because it's more work to be a manager, if that's what you mean, like going up in the ranks from just a regular analyst to a senior analyst or a senior whatever. They usually, what they'll do is they'll let you keep the same amount of work, but then they'll say, oh, by the way, you're going to manage these other two people. Why don't you shadow these other two people and make sure they're doing what they're doing? So they're not going to, in the beginning, they'll pay you more. They say, just give you more work, and they want to see like what you're going to do with it. And if you're lucky, then they'll promote you and say, okay, now it's a lot more work to do management. And in my experience, like what's happened is it's a lot more. They're expecting you to do a lot more. And they're going to be very tight gripped on the amount of resources and money they're willing to give you to do that extra work. That's just, maybe I'm a little jaded, but that's what I've been seeing. So it's, in the long run, if you're going to stick with it, it can be worth it. I've seen some management positions like be a huge, like I've seen dudes go from regular analyst GRC or regular cybersecurity analyst to a director, right? Because they were willing to put in the work, and a director makes way more money than the average person. The C-level type positions, forget about it, man. They make crazy cash. Okay, but they also have a different level of work too. Let me see. Trying to figure out if hopping jobs and getting promoted is worth the pay bump in information security right now. It depends, Frank, on what you want to do. Like I know some folks, usually the guys who level up are people who number one, they can manage stress a lot better. They tend to manage stress really well. They don't get stressed out at work. They have a real, maybe their home life is easier or something. I'm not sure like what's going on behind the scenes, but they tend to be able to take more on their shoulders for management type stuff. And also it might be the position too. Maybe sometimes they'll go when they move up positions and actually a different kind of work. Maybe that kind of work of just managing others is easier for them than what they were doing before, and they prefer it more. So hope that perspective helps you make a decision. Let me see here. What are your thoughts about the CISSP? So I have a CISSP. I've had it for a long time. It's been one of the most rewarding certifications. No, it's been the most rewarding certification I've ever gotten. Like I immediately got a raise. I was immediately offered all these other jobs. It opened up a ton of doors for me in roles that I had no business being in. It's people really know what it is. All you got to do is put that on the side of your name, and people, they think differently about you. Sometimes not rightly so, because not everybody is deserving of that title, in my opinion. But the certification is awesome. It's one of the best certifications in cybersecurity you can get, because it just pays more. People know what it is. It's worth your time. If you're in a place, if you've been doing IT security for some time, you might want to think about it. It's either CISSP, CASP, CISA. Those are like the top 3 most marketable ones. Now, if you happen to be a specialist in a certain area, like if you happen to be a pen tester, then it's going to be the OSCP or one of those. If you happen to be a cloud person, then probably it'll be a professional level cloud certification. You see what I'm saying? Like there's different niches that you can go into that have a professional level cert in each one of those categories. If you happen to be a network engineer who's a professional at Cisco equipment, internet working devices, then you probably want a CCNP. But if you're a Juniper network engineer, then you want I don't know what they call it, JCNP, or I don't know what they call it, but there's a professional level cert for every part of our field. So whatever niche you happen to be in, a professional level cert. But the one that's kind of a blanket, a coverall that kind of covers many different areas is a CISSP, a CASP, and a CISA. Highly recognized pretty much everywhere. Larry says pen testing, GRC, SOC, AI, identity, access management, network security, etc. So many options that the course of study won't always overlap. Yeah, there are some that are not gonna, like when you get in the weeds, for example, of a security operating center, they're going to be using certain tools that an IAM person, an identity access management person, won't use. The overlap that's common among all the ones you just named is going to be basic cybersecurity, which is confidentiality, integrity, and availability. That's going to be the commonality among all of those. Confidentiality, keeping the secrets of the organization, integrity, making sure that the information is the same when it goes from point A to point B and nobody tampered with it in the middle. And then availability, making sure that information, if you put it out to your team or whatever, it's available to them and then not getting hit by a denial of service attack or something like that. So that the commonalities is going to be best security practices tend to be across all of those, even AI. Because AI can still have a denial of service attack. AI can have integrity issues. AI can have availability issues. It can have confidentiality information issues for sure. So the commonalities of all of, but yeah, once you get in the weeds, a pen tester is going to have use different tools and have different setups and things that a identity access management person won't. You know, this field is huge. To your point, it's a huge field. Somebody said on YouTube, what about the CISM? CISM is a great certification for managers. CISM is it's from ISACA, and it is I'm Googling it right now. I don't remember the name off the top of my head, but I know a couple of my managers have had a CISM. One of my coworkers, peers, a few of them have CISMs, and a few of my bosses have had a CISM. And so a CISM is up there. It's mostly for what I've noticed, really good for management type positions. And let me kind of show you what I'm seeing here. A CISSP versus a CISM. Look at this. Pros and cons. Focus. CISSP focuses on the technical and managerial aspects of information security. A CISM is the management and governance of information security. CISSP is recognized globally across industries, opens doors for technical and high-level security roles, comprehensive coverage of information security topics. CISM, highly valued for strategic roles of information security management, focuses on governance, risk management, and program development suitable for information technology professionals aiming for leadership positions. It's more of a management type thing. And I'm not telling you not to get it. It's up there for sure. The reason why I named CASP, CISSP, and CISA is because those are the most recognizable. Most organizations know what they are. They're right now, as of 2024, this could change, are the most marketable cybersecurity certifications out there. But yeah, CISM would be a close second. Another one would be CRISC. That would be another one I would say is worth your time to look at. And there's a few other ones that are pretty good. Security Plus is a damn good certification. It's not a professional level certification, but it's a damn good marketable certification that everybody knows what it is. So there's some other ones out there, but my top three, my opinion, is going to be CISSP, a CASP, CISA, and then CRISC, CISM, and some others that I haven't named. Let me see. If you get a legally written approval from I don't know if I want to read this. I'm not going to read that. Somebody said, how do I start learning these things? You just go to YouTube, start learning that way. So what I advise, I know that's a simple, I'm not trying to be facetious. I'm not trying to be an asshole. I'm just telling you the truth. If you're very, very new to this, then I think that don't spend money yet. The stuff I'm talking about is not for, it's really not for beginners, right? It's just not. My market is not for beginners. Like it's not, if you're curious and you're like, damn, I'm thinking about, yeah, for sure. Like you can come and listen to me and stuff, ask questions or whatever. I'm open to it. But the stuff that I sell is it's not really for people who are absolutely new. The first thing you should do if you're absolutely new and you're interested is look at free resources. Like me, you're listening, you're asking questions and stuff. That's good. Go to YouTube, a TikTok, wherever you happen to go, and watch some long form videos where you listen to people talk about IT, information technology, learn the basics. See if you want to get in this field first. Before you even crack a book or spend any money or do anything like that, just talk to these guys, ask questions, get on lives, ask questions, ask your cousin who's in IT, ask them honest questions about it, see what they say, see if you want to do this, right? And then when you're like, yes, this is definitely what I want to do, I love this stuff, it's so cool, then you want to start investing some money into it. You can start off small with just books. Like books are $20-$30, right? $50, whatever. Crack a book open, start reading through it, start doing some stuff in your house on your computer, start doing configurations on your own, like a small investment. And then when you're serious, when you're like, okay, I'm ready, I'm ready to try a certification. I'm ready to go much deeper in this. You can go to places like Udemy. You can go to, hell, community colleges will teach basic information technology, basic information systems management, stuff like that for an associate's degree. You can even use certifications to learn. Like, certifications are there to validate what you already know. It's not really supposed to be for people to learn off of, but the curriculum on them is so good that they've broken down the domain so well that you can take each one of those domains, and if you know that stuff, you can take the domains and study off and research them. And if you know that enough to pass like an A+ certifications, if you're a beginner, you're well on your way to knowing what you need to know to get your foot in the door in this field. The first thing you need to know is get the knowledge for this, and then slowly get yourself, start investing time, money, and energy into actually doing this stuff. Okay, let me see. Got more questions here. Somebody said, do you know Linux, networking, subnets, scripting, cloud infrastructure? Come on, man. Ebony says, the state works this way. If you are doing the job, you don't really need help. Show them. And Africa China says, I'm in pen testing, red team, not cybersecurity, blue team. Congrats. Help people out. C-suite execs are literally analyst execution machines. Very, very workload. Very heavy workload. Thank you, man. Great stuff every Saturday. Thanks, Frank. I appreciate you, man. Do I get an entry-level job with CompTIA? With CompTIA alone, CompTIA certifications like A+, Network Plus, they're really looking for experience, and I say this each week, but I really need to beat this into people's head. The most important thing you can get is experience. A certification is great, but experience is king. Focus on experience. Get a certification. That's cool. Definitely get a degree if you can. If you have the resources and time and energy to do it, do it. You don't have to do a degree to get in this field. What they're really looking for is people who have experience. So the experience is what you should always put first. Even if you go to school, I always tell students, get experience while you're in school too. While you're in school, get experience while you're taking your certification. Get experience. That's the most important thing you can do. Larry, thank you so much. I appreciate that $20. He says, do you think getting a cert like a Security Plus is a great cert to start and open a lot of doors? Yeah, that's one really good one, especially if you've been doing IT for a while. It's really good. And he goes on to ask or say, I hope that getting my Security Plus and then a senior level certification for the field I want to be in, like a CISSP or a CGRC or a CISA. So, Larry, you are uniquely placed to where you're already working in the industry. So if I were you, what I would do as a project manager is try to find a way to get, and I don't know how you would do this because I don't know what your situation is, but if there's a way that you can get involved with the risk management like with frameworks, with standards or framework. I don't know what framework I'm assuming that, let's say that your organization uses NIST 800 risk management framework. Find a way to get involved with that part of the process, like help to write the policy, help to write the standard operating procedures. Get involved at that level with whatever documentation they're doing, help them to do it. The reason why I say that, in addition to getting your Security Plus, that's good. Get your Security Plus for sure. Get that. But in addition to that, while you're there, And I know it's extra work. You're already probably bogged down with a bunch of project management stuff. But if you can get your hands on some experience actually helping to write policy, if you can interact with the actual security team and the engineers or something and say, look, is there a way I can help you guys out? Can I check this out? You can say, can I help to write or review a document? Do you guys have any documents you're already working on? Let me review it. Let me review that document, see if I can add anything to it or help you guys out. I know if somebody came to me in the current job I'm at, if a project manager said, listen, I want to help you write that SOP. I want to help you write that whatever document you have. I want to help you out because I want to get in this field. I'll be like, here you go. Here, you want to help me do my work? Here you go. What that's going to do for you, if you can do it, is you'll be able to put that on your resume that you helped to write X amount of security plans. You'll be able to write on there, helped with a NIST 800 system security plan. You helped, or you wrote a standard operating procedure for X, Y, and Z procedure. So that's what you can do is while you're there, yeah, we use NIST standards, CSF 800. Yeah, I would volunteer my time. I'm telling you, this will work. Volunteer your time to help them to write a document. Be like, you guys have any SOPs I can help write? Do you guys have any system security plan stuff that I can get into? That might be harder because if they're using like EMAS or Archer, then you have to have access to get into that system. So they probably won't give you access to the system security plan unless they print it out or give you a PDF of it and send it to you, and then you can read through it and you can help them that way. Just get your hands on the actual NIST 800 documentation that they do. Talk directly to the team, make them your best friend and say, is there something I can do? I'm trying to do GRC work. I'm trying to be an information system security officer, information system security manager like you guys. I want some of that work. Can you guys give me some of that work? I want to help you to review it. Can I review it? And then they give it to you and then start reviewing it. And you can put that on your resume. That's one of the things you can do. I mean, in addition to, I'm not telling you don't get Security Plus. Security Plus is fire. It's marketable. It's one of the best certs you can get for GRC, for whatever cybersecurity role you get. People know what it is, so it's really good. And then from there, you want to do a CISSP? Yeah, that's how you do it. So, and thank you again for that $20. I appreciate you. Shout out Larry. This is how I'm able to get these liquid deaths. Okay, let's see here. More questions. I'm about to take a boot camp, which will help get a certification. Okay. How did your company respond to CrowdStrike outage if you were affected? Yeah, we were definitely affected by it. There was a couple of parts and pieces of the organization that were unavailable for like a few days. It didn't take us out or anything. We don't have anything publicly facing. We don't have any. Well, in my department, we don't have like publicly facing stuff. So, I did feel the effects of it. Like I think one of our payment services was down or something like that. Yeah, that's the only effects that we like. I think we couldn't access our payroll for like a few days or something like that. I think that was affected by CrowdStrike. And I know a couple of other parts of our organization lost connectivity here and there, but we were still able to like show up at our job and do what we needed to do. It seems like it was mostly like publicly facing, like the kiosk in the airport or something like that, or their stuff's all tied there and they're constantly interfacing with the public all the time. Like my role's like is the back end of a very large organization. So most of the stuff I look at and I'm exposed to are all internal workings of a network. But yeah, we were a bit affected by it. Let me see here. And thanks, Africa, China, and some other people who are chiming in, helping out others in the chat, because I'm probably not going to be able to get to everybody. Appreciate that. Appreciate your help, your expertise. I love when people jump in and help each other out. That's what this community is all about. Working on some things to bring us closer together on one massive platform. We'll get something together. Let me see. Nathan says, and from the PM and PMP world, all of the risk management, thought process, artifacts, conversations can be handy and is applicable. Yeah, knowing that stuff is definitely applicable to some of the stuff you guys do. GRC just may use different terminology and metrics. Yeah, I mean, a lot of the stuff we're doing is in line with project management. Even like a level of meetings and stuff. I got to do a lot of meetings and a lot of interactions throughout the day, more so than most cybersecurity professionals. Like if you are a firewall admin, cybersecurity professional, you're not really talking to people that much. If you're talking to people, you're talking to other firewall guys. That's not what I'm talking about. Like I'm not talking about your peers who are in your office or whatever, or on your level. When I say talking to people, I mean other parts of the organization. I got users contacting me. I got managers from all different parts of the organization contacting me. I got to do meetings with like this the guys who are doing the actual work in the field and doing like upper level managers, and you got to be able to shift gears, and that's project and program and project managers have to do that kind of thing, where they're not just talking to their peers who understand their lingo. They have to talk to scientists, they have to talk to system engineers, admins, cybersecurity people. So in that way, we're very similar. And then our documentation is also very intensive. Like you guys have to do a bunch of process is really, really important to what you guys do. It's the same thing with us. Like risk management, the risk management framework is a process that gets us through securing the systems. So we're very process driven. So, and then the documentation is a very important thing, just like with what you guys do. So there's a lot of parallels with what we do. That's why if you happen to be a project manager, it's a pretty good, like you're going to have to know the IT stuff. Don't get it twisted. You will have to know that stuff. But if you can make that transition, like you won't have, it's way harder. In my opinion, it's way harder for an IT professional who doesn't do meetings and doesn't have to have they don't have to have emotional intelligence. They've just been locked in a closet doing technical stuff their whole time. It's harder for those guys to transition into GRC than it would be for a project manager to come into this field. Because you guys just need to know the basic IT fundamentals. You need to know the best security practices and the fundamentals and stuff like that. That stuff is like, it takes time to learn it. There is a learning curve, but you can learn it. Learning emotional intelligence is like, it's more like a realization than it is something you learn. It's like a muscle you have to exercise. You have to exercise restraint from choking people. It's not just intelligence. It's like you got to be patient and kind, and you got to see from other people's perspective and stuff. It takes way more out of you. It takes way more patience, and it's harder. It's just much harder to do. So for you to come to project management with your high level of emotional intelligence and your high level of communication skills and your high level of documentation skills and meticulous attention to detail that you guys have to come to GRC, it's much easier for you to come this way, learn all the IT stuff and come this way than it is for a dude who's always in the weeds. Because what I noticed about like my IT professionals, the guys who are that I have to talk to from time to time, it's hard to communicate with them because they're the word is pedantic. What it means is like you got to be very specific with everything, and they're not everything's very specific when you talk to them. Whenever you bring something up, because the reason why is because they're so deep in certain things that you can't just they're 10 feet deep in like 2 or 3 different projects. So you can't just you've got to be very specific because they are already doing several different things that are super deep. And there's all of their energy and intention and everything is in that work, whatever they're doing. And so that's why sometimes they come off as a bit impatient, because they've got that stuff in their mind all day long. And for them to come all the way to the surface and say, like, what? They like, wait, what did you say? Like, what? What's going on? Because in their mind, they're doing several different deep things. And now you're going to come to them saying, oh, by the way, management wants X, Y, and Z. And you're like, I'm already doing these other super deep things that we're doing. You know how much time and money and effort and all this stuff this takes? Now you want me to feel feelings? So let me see. Let me see. Somebody said scheduled my Security Plus exam September. Ready for it. Congrats. You got this. You got this. Zim Girl says a mid-career. Okay, sorry. A mid-career and have done you're mid-career and have done risk assessment and want to transition to a hands-on security work. Tips. Yes. So my tip is, what you could do is start whatever tools you happen to be using, start learning the hands-on portion of those tools that you're using. Risk assessment. So if you've done risk assessment, perhaps you know about scanners. So what you could do, let's say your organization uses Qualys scanner. If you want to be more hands-on with security, Qualys is a huge security tool. Just start to learn to use the scans, like actually create the pool and create the policy for the scan and run the actual scan in a real-time environment. That's one thing you can do. Like learn to actually run that scan and some of the do's and don'ts of running that scan using that tool. What I'm saying is, wherever you happen to be, there is a security tool that if you have hands on it, use that one, get skilled at that. So you can put that on your resume. Also, think to yourself, any kind of tool that you have used in the past, whether it be a router or a switch, or you happen to be really good at Azure cloud computer and you had to help set up the security features on it or whatever, put that on your resume. All of those tools that you've used, emphasize that when you go back to your resume. Rewrite your resume and emphasize all the times that you have focused on the tools portion of it. Put that stuff first. Emphasize your skills in those things you already have. That's what I would say to do. Let me see here. Network security. Let's see. Scanners were implemented when I learned how stuff worked. Vital to learn. Network scanner. Yeah. Network scanners. If you happen to be Zim Girl, if you happen to have, especially if you have access to a scanner, whatever, if you've done risk assessments, more than likely you have at least one scanner around. Hopefully you have access to it. Get skilled at that. Put that on your resume. Emphasize all the technical that you've already, and I'm sure you've had some exposure to some of these tools. Put that on the top of your resume. Emphasize all your skill set on that. And then you'll get calls from people saying, "Hello, so I see that you know Qualys. Like, how many years have you done that? Do you know how to do this and that? Have you ever done this with it?" That's one thing you can do if you want to be more hands-on. Put more hands-on stuff on your resume. See what else we have here. My hope is that the holy trinity of certs would be PMP, CISSP, and another career-specific cert. Hope that grouping and experience will take my career to another level. Yeah, man, that's a great plan. I like how you think, Larry. You're thinking strategically. You're thinking like that's exactly what I did in my career. That's exactly how you do it. Larry's doing what you're supposed to do. That's what I did. I'm just thinking like, damn, that's what I did too. What you do is start thinking of how you're going to get there. Think about point B or C or D or whatever, and think about, okay, how am I going to get there? Think strategically. Think to yourself and think realistically too, right? Think about what are you going to do in order to get from point A to point B. If you want to be a pen tester, think realistically about what pen testers do, right? It's not Hollywood. They don't do what they did. Whatever you saw on I don't know, hackers or whatever, is not real. Like look at what real hackers are doing. Look what the real tools that they're using, and just think to yourself, okay, Kali Linux, OSCP. How do I get from point A to point B? What do I need to do? Step number one, I need to download Kali Linux and learn every aspect of it. I need to sharpen up my networking skills because I'm really weak at that. I need to learn all the tools of Kali Linux. I especially want to be good at Wi-Fi hacking and what kind of weaknesses Wi-Fi have. I'm going to practice that. What other tools do I need? Okay, how long is it going to take me to learn those tools? I'm going to give myself 3 weeks. I'm going to give myself realistically 3-4 months, and I'm going to learn everything about it. Then think about what kind of time do I have in the day? Well, I have a 9-to-5 job. I work 8 hours a day, whatever. I'm going to every day on my lunch hour, I'm going to crack open a book. I'm going to start with the CEH. I'm going to work my way up to the OSCP. Like, come up with a strategy to get from point A to point B and stay in the know. If you're trying to do pen testing, listen to pen testing. Don't listen to me. Get off of here and go find a pen tester. There's a few dope ass pen testers out there. Go find those guys and listen to them talk, watch their videos, go to YouTube, whatever, and start watching those guys. Get your mind ready and link in to those guys because they're going to tell you exactly what you need to know, and you need to start getting in that headspace. Think strategically. Larry's got the right idea. He's like, okay, I'm noticing that people have this cert and they have that cert. And if I have this plus my experience, all right. And within X amount of months, years, this is my plan right here. I'm going to go here, 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 and here. That's what he's doing. You got to think strategically. And that's exactly what I did. That's exactly why I got to this position. I'm not done with my journey. Just so you know, I'm not by any stretch of the imagination done with my journey. I'm still trying to level up. And that's another thing. Appreciate where you are and what you have, but be ready to go to the next level. Prepare yourself to the next level. ConvoCourses, wrestling, yes. And 50,000 feet view down to a 10-foot back up to down and keeping people engaged. Bruce, what's the best way to reach out to you directly? Direct collaboration. Contact at convocourses.com is the best way to contact me directly. Contact at convocourses.com. If you want to stay in touch with the videos and the content that I'm coming out with. I'm coming out with a book real soon. I usually offer those for discounted prices in the beginning, and then it shoots up to $50. That's coming out soon. Get in my newsletter. I'll be releasing a whole bunch of stuff real soon. I'm in the back end. I'm working on a lot of different stuff. It's just going to take me a long time to do it right, but some stuff's coming down the pipeline. You also want to follow me on YouTube if you're interested in this kind of content. YouTube at ConvoCourses, TikTok at ConvoCourses, and I'm on Facebook and X and LinkedIn as well. So let me see here. More questions, more comments. And okay, I got a few more here I'm going to answer, and then I'm going to be out of here. Keep this one kind of short today. Let me see here. Larry says, I agree that learning and working projects has been a tremendous help with communicating with developers, C-level execs. C-level execs is what you mean, as well as coworkers. Being technically sound is the glue I feel I need. Yes, that's awesome. This man, he's thinking, he's got a plan, like a strategic plan on how to get from point A to point B. That's exactly the mindset that I had when I started my journey in IT and cybersecurity. Somebody said that the PMP and project management and GRC sounds like business analyst. Is that what you mean? And then Nathan says business analyst plus PM definitions are related. Okay, and I think that's it, guys. Thank you guys so much. I really appreciate all the comments. Thank you, Larry, for that $20, man. I really appreciate it. Your engagement is what I'm most love. And everybody else, thank you so much. Thank you guys, all the technical people who's helping people in the chat. I just don't have enough bandwidth to cover every single question. Sometimes I miss things, and it's not on purpose. It's just I have a lot of things going on here. I am working on some things in the background. I will let you know when I'm finished enough to where I can like start announcing some of it. It's just little things at a time I'm going to have to release. But I am coming up with a way to help even more people in a more in-depth way. And just stay with me. Something's coming real soon. More than one thing. All right, guys. Peace. I'm out of here. Thank you so much. Take care of yourselves. Have a great weekend. I'm out of here.